These are the moments when German tank crews first encountered the Soviet T-34's revolutionary sloped armor in June 1941, and their anti-tank rounds literally bounced off its angled steel like raindrops on a windshield. This is the story of the tank that Nazi Germany refused to believe could exist. The most produced tank of World War II with over 84,000 built until it was too late. Picture this. You're a German panzer crew in June 1941. Part of what Hitler called the master race, equipped with tanks that had conquered Poland and France. You've been told the Soviets are technologically backward peasants with inferior equipment. Then, on June 23, 1941, just the second day of Operation Barbarossa, you see something that shouldn't exist. A sleek, angular tank rolling toward you, your shells bouncing harmlessly off its armor while its gun tears through your Panzer III like tissue paper. The Germans had a nickname for this mysterious tank. They called it Mickey Mouse, because when its twin turret hatches opened, it looked like the cartoon character's ears. But there was nothing funny about what it could do to German armor. This was the T-34, and it represented everything Nazi ideology claimed was impossible. How could the supposedly inferior Soviets create a tank that outclassed anything in the German arsenal? The answer lies in the remarkable story of a candy factory worker turned engineer named Mikhail Koshkin. Mikhail Koshkin's journey to tank designer seems almost impossible. Born in 1898, he started working in a candy factory before deciding to become an engineer. By 1937, the Red Army had assigned him to lead a new design team at the Kharkiv Comintern locomotive plant. His mission: create a replacement for the Soviet BT-7 tanks that had performed poorly against the Japanese in border clashes. Koshkin wasn't starting from scratch. The Soviets had learned hard lessons from their tank battles with Japan in 1938 and 1939, where even low-powered Japanese guns had easily destroyed their B-7s. They also drew inspiration from American engineer J. Walter Christie's suspension system, which had influenced their earlier BT-5 and BT-7 designs. They needed something revolutionary, a tank that could combine thick armor, mobility, and firepower in ways no one had done before. In March 1940, Koshkin did something that would kill him, but save his nation. He personally drove two T-34 prototypes over 2,000 kilometers from Kharkov to Moscow and back, through snow, mud, and swamps. This wasn't just a delivery trip. It was a punishing endurance test to prove his tank's reliability to skeptical Soviet authorities, including Joseph Stalin himself. During this brutal winter trial, Koshkin contracted pneumonia. He refused medical treatment, determined to complete his mission. By September 1940, just as the first production T-34s rolled off the assembly line, Mikhail Koshkin was dead at age 41. His brilliant colleague Alexander Morozov would continue perfecting the design, but Koshkin never lived to see his creation change the course of World War II. When Operation Barbarossa began on June 22, 1941, the Red Army had 967 operational T-34s. That sounds like a lot, but spread across the massive Eastern Front, they were drops in an ocean of German steel. Yet from the moment German forces first encountered them, everything changed. The shock was immediate and devastating. German Panzer General Heinz Guderian later wrote about the first major encounter at Mutsk on October 4, 1941. The 4th Panzer Division was stopped by Russian tanks and had to endure a difficult moment. For the first time, significant superiority of Russian T-34 tanks was manifested. The division suffered significant losses. What made the T-34 so revolutionary? It wasn't any single innovation. It was how Koshkin's team combined existing technologies in a way no one had imagined. The sloped armor wasn't just thick at 45 millimeters, it was angled at 60 degrees, effectively doubling its protection against incoming shells. The wide tracks distributed weight better than German designs, allowing it to operate in mud and snow that would bog down panzers. The revolutionary V2 diesel engine was more fuel efficient and less likely to catch fire than German gasoline engines. But perhaps most shocking to German engineers was the manufacturing philosophy behind the T-34. While German tanks were precision instruments built like luxury cars, the T-34 was designed for mass production. By 1943, Soviet factories were churning out 1,300 T-34s per month. That's 43 tanks per day, or 1.7 tanks every hour, for an entire year. To put that in perspective, the Soviets built more T-34s in 1943 than Germany produced tanks of all models combined. The psychological impact on German forces was enormous. These were soldiers who had been indoctrinated to believe in their racial and technological superiority. Suddenly they faced a weapon that proved their propaganda was a lie. Field Marshal Paul Ludwig von Kleist called the T-34 the finest tank in the world. General Alfred Jodel's diary expressed surprise at this new and unknown wonder armament being unleashed against the German assault divisions. But perhaps the most telling quote came from Hitler himself. In 1942, at his Wolf's Lair headquarters, the Führer reportedly said, "If I had known that there were so many of them, I would have had second thoughts about invading."